This is when things hit the fan for Weiner. And honestly, I had just discovered him on YouTube when he was yelling on the floor of Congress. He was like, "The gentleman will sit. The gentleman will sit down."
The gentleman is wrong. The gentleman is providing cover for his colleagues rather than doing the right thing. It's Republicans wrapping their arms around Republicans rather than doing the right thing on behalf of the heroes. It is a shame. A shame. If you believe this is a bad idea to provide health care, then vote no. But don't give me the cowardly view that, oh, if it was a different procedure, the gentleman will observe regular order and sit down. I will not. The gentleman will sit. The gentleman is correct in sitting.
Welcome to polypsych.org.
Almost there, just one more time.
Welcome to polypsych.org.
Anthony Weiner was sentenced to 21 months in prison for sexting a 15-year-old girl. That officially makes him a pedophile and one of the most recognizable sex addicts in the world. He's not going to jail immediately. Instead, he'll start serving his time on November 6th of this year. So in some situations, the courts have the discretion to delay a prison sentence. I'm not sure what the court was thinking, but we essentially let a man who was willing to destroy his family life, his political career, and public perception for the opportunity to send nudes to a 15-year-old girl just out again until November 6th.
Throughout my career, people who have committed murder, armed robbery, garden variety types of crime, drug dealing, they're fairly predictable. But the sex offender, again, he presents himself very well. He's in every meeting, he's always working, he's always compliant. You really have to dig to get at this, whether or not this person's violating.
So back to Weiner. Notice I don't say back to Anthony because my name is Anthony and it makes me uncomfortable to be lumped in with a pedophilic sexter from New York City. When he does get out, he'll have to register as a sex offender. Quick aside, the sex offender registry started in 1994 with Jacob Wetterling Crimes Against Children and Sexually Violent Offender Act. This is a mouthful. According to the Justice Department, the Sex Offender Registration and Notification Act, SOMA, created a tiered system of classifying sex offenders, which established national minimum registration periods based on the seriousness of the offense and recidivism. So because Weiner committed a lesser crime, it may explain the delayed sentence, and he will probably register as one of the lower tiers. So first question, is it fair for sex offenders to receive such light punishments, and is there a practical and fair system? All right, so researchers have developed a new biotechnology that's able to distort a prisoner's mind, and it will make them feel like time is going extremely slowly. So they would be in jail for, say, 8 hours, and they'll feel like they served 1,000 years. So here's my question for you, and you can answer on polypsych.org. Would it be too harsh or too draconian to give Weiner this drug during his 21-month sentence to make him feel as if he served 1,000 years during that time? All right, so some details about the case. According to the attorneys, on 3 occasions in 2006, he asked the 15-year-old girl to get naked and asked her to perform. Weiner said, "The crime I committed was my rock bottom. I was a very sick man for a long time, and I am a sex addict." That's the reason he shouldn't be allowed to walk free until November. Is there anything that stands between him and the rest of the world? Between February 17th and the 23rd of 2016, Weiner and the 15-year-old did 3 video chat sessions on Skype. According to prosecutors on the case, it was then that the minor victim made clear that she was just a minor. She was, in fact, only 15 years old, but that, and I quote, "that did not stop Weiner." Can't blame a junkie for being a junkie, but maybe don't let him back on the internet. So according to the sexoffendermap.org, there are 805,000 sex offenders. To be specific, it's 805,781 sex offenders registered in the United States. Here's the problem with the registry.
The large number of people on this registry prevents the registry from being an effective tool for public safety. I just want to be clear. The way we've structured this registry with its massive number of people for life, it undermines effective law enforcement. I also just want to say, and I mentioned this earlier with respect to another bill, that the way that the sex offender registry is structured right now has a hugely damaging impact on the LGBT community. LGBT people are treated differently than straight people in terms of young people engaging in sexual activity and potentially becoming a registered sex offender. If you are gay and 18 and have sex with someone who is gay and 17, you will become a registered sex offender for the rest of your life. A straight relationship would not result in the sex offender registry. In addition, there are gay men now who might be in their 60s or 70s or 80s who are registered sex offenders because they had sex in a park 40, 50 years ago. And to this day, they are still on the registry. This registry has significant negative impacts for LGBT people. This overbroad registration also has significant negative impacts on individuals, on their families, on their communities. People required to register for life face lifetime barriers to stable housing, leading to higher rates of homelessness and barriers to employment and greater poverty. And when people face these challenges around housing and employment, that makes them more likely to reoffend than if they had stability in their lives.
Some people just get sucked into the net and they aren't actually like Anthony Weiner level like creeps. Did you know that if you're caught peeing in public, you have to register as a sex offender? So to be fair, that number may be like skewed a bit high. So quick countdown of the states with the most sex offenders per person. This is the pedophile per capita, the PPC. All right. So number 10, Colorado is number 10 in most pedophiles per person. But Colorado didn't have a lot of people, so you can't say much about that. Number 9, Florida. And there is a lot of people in Florida, and there's no surprise there because Florida is a strange place. Number 8, Minnesota. Number 7, South Dakota. Number 6, Wisconsin. Number 5, Michigan. Number 4, Arkansas. Number 3, Oregon. This is pedophiles per capita. How many pedophiles per person? Number 2, Wyoming. And then number 1. I give you a second to try, I guess. And number 1 for the highest pedophile per capita, Delaware. Maybe the sex offenders like that tax situation. So what Delaware did was require that offenders register their new address within 3 days, which is apparently much shorter than any other state. 3 days that still feels way too long. Here's a question. How much liberty should we allow for the worst of our criminals? Obviously, not the guy caught peeing behind Taco Bell at 3 a.m., but the guy caught trying to molest kids. Like, how much freedom is he entitled to after he's caught? Back to Weiner. The Washington Post has a really cool timeline on Weiner's spiral into his 21-month sentence. Starting in June 2011, a photo leaked of Anthony Weiner in his underwear. He first said that his account was hacked, then changed the story and said it was a joke. This is when things hit the fan for Weiner. And honestly, I had just discovered him on YouTube when he was yelling on the floor of Congress. He was like, "The gentleman will sit. The gentleman will sit down."
The gentleman is wrong. The gentleman is providing cover for his colleagues rather than doing the right thing. It's Republicans wrapping their arms around Republicans rather than doing the right thing on behalf of the heroes. It is a shame. A shame. If you believe this is a bad idea to provide health care, then vote no. But don't give me the cowardly view that, oh, if it was a different procedure, the gentleman will observe regular order and sit down. I will not. The gentleman will sit. The gentleman is correct in sitting.
Which was kind of cool. It was refreshing seeing an American politician like actually show some kind of emotion. By the way, if you have a chance, go to YouTube and watch the House of Commons. I'll upload a video of the House of Commons highlights on polysci.org. In the House of Commons, they aren't like the American politicians. Like, they aren't couth. They are what I believe the kids call today lit. Dudes are yelling, they're cracking jokes. The prime minister, which is like their version of the president, has to answer to the representatives on the other side. So try to imagine Trump having to go back and forth with Democrats on the House floor while both sides yell in the background. It's just a surreal thing. It's really awesome to see. So I'll upload the highlights on polysci.org. Back to Mr. Weiner. Later that same month, Weiner resigned from Congress. Time goes by and he started to make a comeback, and he and his wife start to regain public attention. And it seems like he was forgiven, both at home and in the court of public opinion. May 2013, Weiner runs for mayor of New York City and plays up the fallen family man on a comeback after being forgiven by his wife. Then comes another revelation. 2 months after he's starting to make a comeback in the public spotlight, Weiner holds a press conference and tells the world the sexting never stopped.
When did the messages actually stop? When was the last explicit text from Facebook?
I can't say exactly. Sometime last summer, I think.
Was it after you told People Magazine, quote, or your wife told People Magazine, it took us a lot of work to get where we are today, and he's trying to be the best husband you can be?
Yes.
After that?
Yes.
There are mounting calls for you to drop out of the race. What do you say to those people who want you to drop out of the race?
I'm sure many of my opponents would like me to drop out of the race.
Somehow his wife is still standing next to him, literally standing right next to him in the picture. September 2013 comes by and he loses the election. May 2016, the Weiner documentary comes out, which was terribly timed since the Democratic Party had Clinton running for president at the time, and he decided to bare his soul and tell the absolute truth at a time where he should have just laid low and took some sweet lobbyist money in the background. This is around the time that Biden rolled his eyes in the interview where they bring up Anthony Weiner and he's like, ugh. Like the like disdain just like trickles to the surface when like he's like, ugh, that guy. It was like one of the very few real moments in politics. August 26th, Aberdeen separates from Weiner, and good for her. Like, at some point, you have to draw a line. Like, how many times do you allow your husband to publicly cheat on you before you say enough is enough? Fast forward to today, and he was sentenced to nearly 2 years in jail for pedophilia. And that's it. Go to polypsych.org and you can submit your questions or any really cool topics or concepts you have in political science, psychology, news, or abstract, weird YouTube videos. I'm really into the Fresh Out series on YouTube. If you get a chance, go to YouTube and type in Fresh Out. And there's this prisoner guy. He's like doing a Q&A session for stuff that's in prison. Like, you'll ask him like, what's the likelihood that I get beat up in prison or have to fight? And he'll like give you an answer for it. It's really cool. So I'm hooked on the Fresh Out series. So if you have any like really cool YouTube series that like I should check out, maybe talk about on the show, if you have a question for the show, if you have some type of concept, like submit it on polypsych.org. That's it.